Hey everybody, just a little unexpected coming on really quickly here to see if anybody wants to talk. Hey Flores, what's YouTube already? Okay. Hey Janice, Noel, how is everybody? Please retweet this. We just want to talk a few minutes about what has been going on in the hearings today. Renee, good to see you. Please retweet. Let me share. Hey, how are you? You retweet, share everything. Barbara, good to see you. Let me share this broadcast. I'm just going to give you, hey Renee, going to give you some of my opinions and going to get your opinions of what you've been seeing today. Here we go. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Hey Danielle, wasn't going to come on, but I thought, you know what? I've been watching this stuff all morning. So I put in about a good 3.5 hours, probably more than that, but at least 3.5 to 4 hours of watching. Hey Teresa, good to see you. No, it's not over, Danielle. It's not going to be over for another week or so. Are you kidding? It's over, but it's just it's going to keep going on because the Democrats will never want it to be over. Rather hear you than them. Thanks, Barbara. I would almost rather go to the dentist and have my teeth drilled on than to listen to the Democrats today. Republicans are crushing the Democrat witnesses. Karen said, "Hey, Tammy, me too since 9 o'clock." Yeah, I mean, this is. I have to say, and I tweeted some of this stuff out as a former practicing attorney. I'm really embarrassed and disgusted by watching that attorney for the left sit there and participate in something that is so unethical, immoral, unconstitutional, such lawlessness, and to be sitting there and participating in it makes me sick. Hey, Rob, good to see you. I'll know what they are doing. Yes, absolutely. I think people are starting to realize what they're doing. Now, I will tell you, I want to make some comments on just what people that I've seen. I thought the counselor, the attorney on the left for Adam Schiff, he actually did a very good job in laying things out. Now, if that were a court of law, it would not have been a good job because everything that it was hearsay. He was leading the witnesses, on and on and on. But he made a really good case, for their side. Hey, Bobby, I'm believing in God. Bobby in Kentucky, good to see you. So he did make a really good case. He did a great job. Now, the Republicans attorney on the right, did not do a good job. He did a lot of movement, didn't say a lot, didn't have a lot of good questions to ask. Hey, Lori. And did not do half as good a job as the attorney on the left. Now, let me refresh your memory. Yeah, who did do a good job? Whoa, Jim Jordan kicked butt. John Ratcliffe kicked butt. Winstrup, I think was the other guy's name. He did a really good job. So all the Republicans are doing a great job. One of the things that Adam Schiff said that I was so glad that they caught on to was the fact, well, but Zelensky, he didn't want to do anything and he didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to lose that aid, that assistance to Ukraine. Because if he did, he would know that Ukrainians were going to die. Yeah, and then Ratcliffe, because I immediately thought of what I would say, and then Ratcliffe caught onto it, and he said, but if that's true, why didn't he go ahead and do everything he was supposed to do? Why didn't he start that investigation? Because if he's so afraid that he's going to offend the president and he might not get that money, which was already appropriated by the Congress. Congress had said this is, they're getting the money and this is how much it is. So the president would have had really little to do with it because it was coming. And they made the point, oh, Ukraine knows about, how the law works in the United States. And so basically, Ratcliffe said that if he'd been so worried about it, then why wouldn't he go ahead and start the investigation? And as we know, there was no investigation into the Bidens or anything else that was started by Zelensky. None at all. So at every turn, they are really coming in there. The Republicans are really coming in there and quashing everything that the left is saying. And it's making them look as bad as they should look because they are really bad people. I wrote an article yesterday, and we had my show on God's Views on Political News about this. If you haven't seen it, I wish that you would go see it, go read the article from today, and then go listen to the show yesterday. You need to know this. You need to know the article that's out there today. It's called Wake Up and Smell the Communists in Congress. Please go read that article at susanknowles.com today. And if you have time, it was the second part of the segment we did on God's Views on Political News. You need to know this. You need to be telling every single person you know about what's in that article. Twists and turns is all they know how to do. The left is shameful. Worse than shameful, Harley guy. Yeah, shameful is just, the small part of what they are. You don't have to trust Zelensky, Danielle. I mean, basically, Zelensky said 1,000 times, as Ratcliffe pointed out, that there was nothing wrong in the conversation. He didn't even know that any aid was being withheld. He saw it wasn't inappropriate. So he's already cleared the president. God's Views was very well done. Thank you, Tim. It is just so important, especially if you have Democrat friends, to tell them about what's in that God's Views show from yesterday's second segment, or the article I wrote today. I give you sources that you can tell them about, that shows you who these people are in Congress, who is in this Congressional Progressive Congress, a caucus in Congress that you may not even have been aware of or may not have remembered, and you will know exactly what these people are doing, why they're doing it. This is just a part of what they're doing. This is just the groundwork that has been laid. They're trying to, as everybody knows, take back their power. They're globalists, they're elitists, they're communists. I don't have the book cover right here, but I'm talking about yesterday I talked about a book I'm reading. It's called Dark Agenda by David Horowitz. It's an excellent book. I recommend it to everybody, and anybody and everybody read that book. And it's about what the left, why they don't like Christians, what they're doing to the Christians. And in part, look at it this way. I don't know if you realize this as a Christian. We always talk about President Trump. President Trump is standing in between the deep state, the communists, whatever, the elitists, the globalists, and taking over the United States. You want to know something, Christian? So are you. So are we. We are standing in between them, doing their final act in getting this country, whether you know that or not. Talking to the left is like talking to a rock and waiting for an answer. Harley guy, this hearing is basically the telephone game hearsay. Yes, it is, Brian. It is total hearsay. But you know what, Harley guy, there's Michael. I don't see him in here right now, but Michael, because he came to this scope. Michael was a diehard Democrat when he came to this scope, and because he came to this scope and kept coming back, he walked away from the Democrat Party. He's now a Republican, and he's trying to change his entire family into voting Republican and getting them on board. So typically, I would say you're right that talking to the left is like, talking to a rock and waiting for an answer, but not always. And if we can get one person like we did Michael, and Michael can go forward with other people in his family, then hey, you know what? We've done our job, and one is better than zero. But I'm telling you, as a Christian, we are the left. We are what's left, standing in between the deep state and them taking over the United States, because they want to get all of our. They want everything. They want God gone. They want the biblical principles gone. If you're familiar at all with communism, and I have sources in my article at susanknowles.com. Go listen to what communism stands for. You will hear that repeated. Hey, Marlene, you will hear that repeated over and over in what the people in the Congressional Progressive Caucus and those who have been put in there by the Justice Democrats talk about. You will hear that over and over. Communism also, typically, most communists are atheists. They do not believe in God. And so right now, if you want to look at it this way, there's a communist uprising. Hey, Jeremy Hansen, how are you? communist uprising that we see in Congress. That's what we're seeing on the left. They call themselves progressives, but if you look up the definition of what a progressive is, it's the same thing as a communist. Don't kid yourself that that's what it is. And you, as a Christian, you are standing in between that and then taking over the republic, getting rid of God, getting rid of the biblical principles. So it's not just President Trump. Yep, they are communists. Call them what they are, Tim said. Absolutely. It's time that we spoke up and said who these really are. Sanders is a Marxist. Danielle, Sanders is also the only senator. There has to be one senator on the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and they picked Sanders to be that senator. So again, those two things will give you a heads up on why this country is headed where it is headed. This is the exact reason. Mike, welcome to the RNC Big Tent Party, not the Communist Circus Big Tent. I know, in zone. It's unfortunate because Mike's not in here right now. I saw a minute ago, I think he's doing a scope or just finished one or whatever. But so I'll have to tell him about this so he can see what everybody is saying about him. Please give him encouragement and help him know what to say. Now, I've recommended to Mike, hey there, better. I recommended to Mike to get this book that I just told you about, The Dark Agenda. I wish I had the cover. I left it downstairs, but it's called Dark Agenda: The War to Destroy Christian America. Now, just know that David Horowitz himself, he's a conservative, but he used to be an atheist. He's now he's an agnostic. So he's not a Christian, but in this book, he tells you exactly why the left is going after Christians and what the whole thing is about. It's really worth your while. It's hard for me to put it down. I really wanted to do this today and not look at the hearings, but I wanted to watch some of the hearings and see how they were going. I'm probably not going to waste any more of my time on that. In fact, as I was on my walk today, I took and listened to Periscope as I was walking because I didn't want to miss anything. And it really livened up when we got to the Republicans, who are setting the groundwork for why when this goes to the Senate should shut it down immediately. The communists start in the schools. That's right, Danielle. They call it progressivism, but it's communism. It started in public schools back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. And they have been putting one foot in front of the other, diligently moving forward until today, and we'll keep going to get the people in school, to get your kids, and that's what the schools are looking more and more like. Hope the Republicans do better tomorrow. Aside from the Jordans and two others, they missed some easy kill shots. And Tim, I talked about that in the very beginning, who I thought did a good job, and as I said, I think the attorney on the left did a really good job. He really did, and the attorney on the right wasn't good at all. But I don't know if they want to give everything. Maybe they're holding back a little bit. I don't know. Give them the benefit of the doubt. But Jim Jordan, Ratcliffe, Winstrop, they really kicked butt and they did a really good job. Devin Nunes did a good job too. Adam Schiff looks like the jerk that he is. He sat there. He didn't tell anybody about what the rules that we're going to follow. And then when it came the turn for the Republicans, and all of a sudden, oh, well, if you don't know anything, you don't assume things that aren't evidence. Oh, well, and it's like Ratcliffe says, what rules are we following? Or, you said federal rules are basically out the window. So what are the rules? And you didn't say anything during the whole time that the Democrats were talking. Yes, Nunes, Tim. Yep. He did a really good job. So they're doing a really good job. Now, the Senate ought to be looking at this. The Senate, and again, I am sick and tired of us turning the other cheek, I guess, if you will, in the Republican Party. His eyes tell he lies. Yeah, his eyes are like, they get bigger as the more he lies. And he said, I don't know who the whistleblower is. That's an out and out lie. You know that it is. He's the one that released the name of the whistleblower in the first place. That was in the documentation. He knows who it is. If let's say for some reason that he didn't know and he didn't help the whistleblower and he didn't know him then, he sure knows him now. Because he's seen the information that he basically leaked. So, they're just absolutely lying. I guess he's protected when he's lying there because he's not under oath. So he's protected and he's acting as, in his capacity, which is BS. But what I see and what I've seen through this whole thing too, Uh, Not so much Taylor as Kent. I think Taylor, he is, for the most part, a guy who tries to do good. You know, he's a do-gooder. He is a public servant. He's been a long-term public servant. He sees himself as somebody who is always doing the right thing. He's going to save the world. Okay, I get it. Kent, on the other hand, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a chip on his shoulder because the president didn't like Yovanovitch, rightly, wrongly, or in between, doesn't really matter. And, you know, he acts like the president did a smear campaign on him. And he went out and he said, well, it was Rudy Giuliani that did a smear campaign on Yovanovitch. So he doesn't like Rudy Giuliani. And so here you have these two people who are unelected officials. These are ambassadors that are appointed to their positions, who are trying to say that they know what's better for you, the United States, than what the president knows. That they know better how foreign policy should be treated and enacted better than the president and Congress of the United States. That's who these people are. This guy, Taylor, he loves Ukraine. I think I read that he'd been in Ukraine a long time and, you know, had an affinity for Ukraine and all this stuff. And so when anything happened that might not see money going to Ukraine in the way he thought it should, then he didn't like it. And he was suspicious about it. One was a regular path and one was an irregular path. Well, to him it was irregular. To this president who doesn't do things like they good old boys did all this time, the deep state did, it's new, it's not irregular, and the one thing that it is, it's not illegal. So you know, therefore, just because he thought it was irregular doesn't mean that it was. It was just a president who has the right to handle foreign policy the way he sees fit. Has anyone seen the reports that 5 senators are on the fence with impeachment? 5 senators, Republican senators. Well, you know, that would be Romney, that would be Susan Collins, that would be the one from Alaska, I think, and I don't know who the other one is. So that doesn't really surprise me. None of the criminals, yeah. And the thing of it is, it's like the point that they made too. President Trump gave Ukraine more aid to actually protect themselves than Obama did in giving them blankets and things of that nature. And the one, I think it was Ratcliffe, I can't remember who exactly brought that up, that said maybe that's what Obama was talking about when he talked to the Russian and he said, you know, after the election, I'll have more flexibility. You know, so, and also, if we're talking about a quid pro quo where something actually did happen, Representative Castro is an embarrassment. Well, yeah, we know that, Patrick. If you're going to investigate President Trump for a quid pro quo, you have to investigate Biden. You have to. And the Republicans need to be doing that. Burr, Collins, Murkowski, and Romney. Yeah, so Burr was the only one I guess I didn't have. I think Burr, I think Burr can probably come around. But Collins, Murkowski, Romney, yeah, those are the 3 that I had in mind. So, but anyway, it doesn't matter. When they receive this in the Senate, what they should do is what Lindsey Graham said they should do. And they should say, you know what? None of this followed any federal rules, no rules of courts. This was lawless. The president, there was a violation of his constitutional rights. There's a violation of the Sixth Amendment. There's a violation of every amendment that I can think of, practically. This president was denied his civil rights. He is, even though he's the president, he is a citizen of the United States. This should never have been done. And if this went to court, I tell you, it would have to be laughed out of court. It really would have to be laughed out of court. But you know, as Christians, again, don't forget your significant part in this whole thing. And for the Christians who are here, don't forget you are here at this time for this reason and other reasons, but you are here now. And you have a, I don't know, you don't have to do anything. You have free will. But for me, until my last breath, I will fight for biblical principles. I will fight for God. I will fight for the Constitution of the United States, and I will fight for the Republic. And what I mean by fight, everything that's legally, morally, and ethically that I can do, because I know there are people out there, the PC police are out there looking to see what I mean by that. So I will stand up, I will speak out, and I encourage you to do the same thing. This is not a time to be silent. Yesterday, I called McCarthy's office, talked to a person in McCarthy's office. There was somebody else that was doing a prayer group that said we should call McCarthy and tell them we should get these other people and put them temporarily on the committee that they're on right now. And I did talk to a person. He said he'd had hundreds of calls. They didn't do that, but maybe they feel that they don't need it. But at least I did something along with other people rather than doing nothing. I think our president uses their ignorance to keep them busy while he takes care of business. Well, he does, Janice. He does. But, we still have to be careful. We have to continually pray for him. Pray for him, pray for our country, pray for our administration, pray for Congress that they will do the right thing. Pray that those on the left, think about this. Seriously, think about this for a minute. You're going to have the people, the Democrats sitting on the left in Congress, who will absolutely know if this goes to the Senate, that this president was denied his civil rights, that this president was denied his constitutional rights, that everything that they did was not based on the Constitution. It was lawless. All right. So you're going to have all of these Democrats, if they do, in fact, vote for impeachment. That should scare every single one of you, that you have those people who are willing to go along, even when it is not legal, it is not moral, it is not ethical. That should scare everybody. Amen, Janice said. Yeah, I'm beside myself when I think about it. Were the impeachment hearing witnesses going to be great to see how Schiff and CNN sells this? I listened when I was walking, and I had to use my Periscope when I was walking, took my walk. I was listening to, I think it was either ABC or PBS. Oh my gosh. They have already spun this. They really, before the Republicans, I was listening right before, they took a break, and then the Republicans came on. They hadn't come on yet. And they were talking about, President Trump, and, this is what they're going to say, but, that's how they're going to couch it, but they really don't have a way to couch. They were totally, totally in bed with the those on the left. It was amazing. William Taylor. Aussie Nick, I was talking about Taylor. I don't think so much that I think Taylor's the do-gooder. He genuinely thinks that he has to defend Ukraine, that he knows best, that he knows how it should be done. He knows how everything should be done. Sit back and enjoy the show, Roy said. Yep. That he knows how everything should be done. He's discredited because he has no personal knowledge of anything, Aussie Nick. He really has no personal knowledge. The only personal knowledge that he has is the fact that he was over in Ukraine and three times, right? 3 times. And after that phone call, and no one complained to him about the fact that I felt like I was being forced into something. I felt like if I didn't do this corruption investigation, I wasn't going to get the money. Nobody said a dang thing to him because it didn't happen. And you know what? I hope they find out. They've already sort of mentioned who the guy was, who was the staff member of Taylor. I heard that on PBS or ABC, whatever I was listening to on Periscope. I think they said, I don't want to say the name wrong, but I think it was like Doug Collins or something like that. And supposedly he's an attorney. Well, here's what I have to say. Number one, here's an attorney listening to information. If the guy is an attorney and he's working for the Trump administration, I think they could possibly stop him from testifying if they want to, because again, if the rules of court were in play, but I don't know what's going to happen to this. But Kent's the guy with the chip on his shoulder. Yeah, take some duct tape. You're going to need it, Harley guy. Kent is the one with the chip on his shoulder. You can tell he doesn't like Giuliani. He doesn't like the fact that Giuliani said anything about Yovanovitch because he loves Marie Yovanovitch. This guy, I don't mean sexually, maybe, who knows, in this day and age, but he loves her, and he's mad that Doug Collins, okay, no, yeah, he's not that's not Representative Doug Collins, no, Danielle, that's not who heard it, but the guy's first name is Doug, for sure, that's what they said, and he's an attorney, they think. If these people were against Trump's foreign policy, why didn't they resign? Yeah, because, Elaine, they're long-term people who feel, again, that they know what's best for you. They know what's best for the country more than anybody else, probably more than Congress, probably more than any president, because they've been in the trenches. They're the ones that go out and they meet with these people and they fall in love with Ukraine, and Ukraine needs us or people die. Well, it's just like they said to Taylor. How come you didn't speak up when Obama didn't give them any weapons to protect themselves? But, now with Trump, who did give them the weapons, where the guy didn't have to do anything about it, did my car taking you to Kroger, Susan? Great, Lori. Get me something there, will you? And everything that they're talking about is, I feel, it's my opinion. I heard this guy say to this guy that said to this guy that said, blah, blah, blah. Taylor admitted he'd never met Giuliani. Taylor's never met Giuliani, and he's never met President Trump. Neither one of them have met President Trump. And I don't even know if Kent met Giuliani. Probably not. They basically just want to make Giuliani look bad, again, with Kent, because it's his personal revenge, if you will, because he's mad because he liked Yovanovitch and she got smeared. Unfortunate, take it up with an employment law attorney, whatever you need to do, but don't sit there. From what I've heard from about Yovanovitch, she was horrible, and she had people on a list of people to go after. And I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, or the president thought it was true, he has a right to fire her. If the president doesn't like you and doesn't want you there, then get out, and he has a right to say get out. They were regular channels upset by, I know. Well, I already talked about that, Nick, because there were regular channels that he saw under all the administrations. They were probably a little bit different, but they were all deep state administrations that he worked for, including George Bush, I'm sure. And so basically when a president came in there, a new president who does things his way and wanted to shake things up a bit, and ask for, well, let's see, who's involved in this? Why are we funding this? Is anybody helping us fund this? What about the corruption? I talked about this on Tuesday, about saying, what about the corruption in Ukraine? That Laura Cooper from the Pentagon talked about all of this. The president had a right to be concerned. There's been corruption in Ukraine forever. He had a right to go in and say, what's going to happen to our money? Where is it going to go? Who's going to be involved? Are we the only ones? Elaine, it is so disgusting. Giuliani threatened exposing them all, poking around Ukraine. How dare he? I know. And having a private citizen who's doing that. How dare you not be a government employee and come in on my playground? I can't watch, my guy. I know, Wayne, it's hard to watch. Shifty's completely making the rules up as they go. Yes, Marie, he made those rules up before. So the rules are, here's Shift's rules. The rules are whatever I want, I get. And I'll make them up as I go along. I'll do whatever. I'm not following any rules. Hey, Lee, I'm not following any federal rules or anything else. I'm not following the Constitution. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if you don't like it, oh, well, my rules. But again, if you really want to know what's going on in our country, what has been going on in our country forever, what has come out into the open finally, go to my SusanKnowles.com, look at today's article. If you have time, look at the show from yesterday, God's Views show, and go to the second segment where we talk about communism versus progressivism, and you will know what's going on. Also, get this book. Sorry, I don't have the cover. It's called Dark Agenda: The War to Destroy Christian America by David Horowitz. Well worth your time. I'm with you on all this. I'm praying. I've made calls, getting cleaned up to leave listening. Okay, Robin, no problem. Um, but, it's important for us to continue to do all that we're doing. Yeah, I know. I know. Schiff does whatever he wants to do. And again, you can tell when Schiff is lying. You can tell when Schiff is getting upset because his eyes get wider, wider and wider. He used to be a prosecutor. He knows the game, and he also knows, as having been a prosecutor, that he's violating every rule in the book on federal laws or anything that would be allowed in court and the Constitution. It's the worst thing that I've seen. And again, as an attorney, I would not at all participate in any of that on the left. I would never do something like that. I think all these people, and nothing will happen, but all these people need to be reported to the bar. They really should. But again, when you're sitting there in Congress, you can do whatever you want. We know that in Congress. In order to do something against a congressperson, to get them out of Congress, it has to be up to them, to vote these people out. We don't even have that say. Rules should change, His name is very descriptive, Janice said. Yeah, would like to play poker with him. Barbara said, how is that legal? It's not legal, Renee. None of it is legal. It's not. They're not following any legal rules. And waiting for his eyes to pop or his nose to grow so long it snaps off. Oh, I know. Schiff stalled questions to give Taylor time to answer. Of course he did. And then he followed up and tried to, make stuff up. I mean, all of it, almost everything that Taylor and Kent said was based on hearsay. And it was funny, when they would say, well, what do you think about this and that and the other? They could get into the mind of the president or anybody else, and they were very equipped at doing that. But when it came turn for the Republicans to ask them about what you think somebody thought, oh gosh, I don't know. I really can't get into their minds. I just don't know. I did watch some of it this morning. I think they are leading the witnesses. They are, Wayne, they are. But there are no rules, so you can do whatever you want. Why not just ask a question and run down to the microphone and answer for them? I mean, it makes as much sense as anything else. There are no constitutional federal rules being followed here. None of it. It's I think 2-year-olds would have more sense and a better sense of what justice is than what we're seeing here. It's sad. It's the saddest thing. And to think that our country, now again, let me say this. This is what you would see in a communist country. Remember that. This is what you would see happen in a communist country. This isn't America. What you're seeing, this isn't part of the republic. This isn't how America works. This is not our judicial system. This is not how Congress works. This is not our Constitution. None of it. You are watching communism. Please go to my website, read the article. Please watch yesterday's God's Views on Periscope and go to the second segment and hear what I am talking about. You need to understand this. Those that don't understand it, you really need to understand it. Those that do understand it, maybe get a better understanding, or you'll have sources to use, hey, happy violinist, to go tell people on the left and other people that are kind of like, well, I don't know what to think. You'll be able to tell them you're watching communism. And I'm not kidding about that. I'm calling it what it is. Democratic counseling leading Taylor and cleaning up his answers was blatant. Well, yeah. But that's what you're seeing. This is not the democratic process. This is not how a republic works. This is not what you are seeing. You are watching communism. This is something that you would see Stalin do. This is something that you would see in China. This is something that you would see where the person sitting there has to prove himself innocent because they're guilty until proven innocent. That's what you're seeing. We all need to wake up or we'll lose our country. Gang, work your phones, make your voice heard. I don't every day. This is dangerous, Marie said. Do it, Hurley said. And also, you know what, Hurley guy, call the Democrats and say to them, how can you in good conscience, when you sit here and you watch this 3-ring circus with no rules of law being followed, how with you taking the oath of office that you took to defend the United States Constitution, that you could sit there and be a part of this, and that if you vote against the president, go and say, let's impeach him based on this, then you should resign as a congressperson, that you are not somebody who represents the United States of America. Absolutely. Some comments on other scopes are like, got Trump now. I don't know. How about it? Hitler too. This public impeachment show hearing is so blatantly nothing. It's backfiring already. Why can't Barr do something? Because it's, there's nothing to criminally prosecute here. That's what Barr does. He tells whether or not they should be indicted, and he proceeds that way. He does investigations. El Floyo said this is an inquisition, and no way is it an important hearing searching for the truth. Absolutely, El Floyo. Has nothing to do with the truth, nothing to do with the Constitution, nothing to do with federal law. Absolutely nothing. And I'm serious. You need to call the Democrats in Congress as well, those that have any conscience left, if there are any. And you need to say to them, how does this represent what you swore to uphold, the Constitution of the United States? Tell me how this has anything to do with legitimizing the Constitution of the United States. It has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. The president of the United States, the way I see it, is being denied his constitutional rights and his civil rights. And the ACLU ought to be all up in arms about this, but of course they aren't, because they're on the side of the left. But I'm just saying, we don't live in a just world. Unfortunately, we don't. Dems have no morals. Rick, they really don't. Communists typically don't. And I'm sorry. Again, and I'm not sorry. These people are communists. They're running this like a communist country would run something like this. Something is wrong when Congress can overthrow the president and no one's stopping them. Well, at this point, if this were a court, this would have been thrown out a long time ago. This is like malicious prosecution, malicious lawsuits. You're throwing something and hope it sticks. The court would have dismissed this a long time ago. They have nothing. He didn't break any laws. And if you think that there was a regular way and an irregular way, did you notice when he said that? He didn't say irregular and it broke the law. He just said irregular. He meant the process that had always been followed as the way he saw it was no longer followed that way. It was a new process. That doesn't equate to illegal, but that's what the Democrats hoping that you will think. Public Senate trial pleas to haul these corrupt Dems and swamp operatives before them. Aussie Nick said, true ACLU is a communist organization and the leader claims to be a Christian. Yeah, well, what can I say? Anyway, any more? You cannot prosecute on hearsay. That's true, Elaine. You can't. There are exceptions to the hearsay rule. There are no exceptions here. Can we throw Schiff against the wall and see if he sticks? Marie said. What would happen if Trump showed up with his attorneys as a U.S. citizen? They'd probably kick him out, Harley Guy. Jim Jordan with the boom. Why can't President Trump take it to the court and sue them? Because you've got to have a cause of action to go to court. What are you going to go to court for? You can go to court for, before they had talked about harassment of the president and trying to look at something that way. The way the court system right now, every time that he does something, it's the courts that stop him because these are Obama appointed judges for the most part. So anyway, anything else that you guys want to say? I'm going to go read my book and then I've got other things to do to prepare for tomorrow. So I will be back tomorrow. What about sedition? Well, Harley Guy, it is treason. It is treason. They're trying to overthrow the government. But what they will say is, no, we're just trying to do an impeachment inquiry. That's all we're doing. Here's where the treason comes in, and this is how it needs to be proven. Attorney General Barr and Durham, they need to be putting together all of this information so that these people can be indicted. Do I think that these people will be brought up on treasonous charges? No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, because of the world that we live in today, I don't think so. I think that some of these people may go to jail. I'm hoping they will. If anybody, I think it's going to be people like Strzok and Page, and maybe Rosenstein's name's not even mentioned anymore. He should be up there. I mean, we should be doing an investigation on Benghazi. We should be doing an investigation on Uranium One. We should be doing an investigation on the Clinton Foundation. We should be doing an investigation on the Clinton servers. We should be doing an investigation on the Steele dossier. I mean, all of it. And we probably won't. People don't realize this is an inquiry. Nope, they don't, Renee, because if you look at Twitter and everything else, they say impeachment hearings. No, really, and I put it on the title because I knew that would bring people in that were interested in it, but it's an impeachment inquiry hearing. But listen to this, Elaine, it will go to the next step right after this. And what they want to do is they want to bring this up for a vote right before Christmas and give it to the Republicans. I still think they should subpoena Obama to testify if he agrees with Biden's statement that the POTUS was in agreement with him in withholding funds to the Ukraine if they did not drop the investigation into Hunter. We'll see, El Floya, who are they going to... They have to open their own investigation because right now Adam Schiff is controlling everything and he tells them who they can call as a witness. And so far, he's given them 0 witnesses that they can call. Fast and Furious in Benghazi. Renee said, we have to keep praying and trusting God with this. Yeah, we do. And we have to keep doing our part. Everything that we can legally, morally, and ethically do, that we have to keep doing that. No support in the Senate. Well, the Senate can't do anything right now to the House. They can do their own investigation, and who knows what Grassley might be doing. Graham has always said he was going to do something, and who knows if he's done anything. So they can do their own investigations. But here's the thing. All of these people are going, it's going to be 2020. We've got elections. We've got to go out and campaign. I really don't want to have that to bog everything down. I guarantee you that's what they're thinking. We don't want to do this during an election year. Agreed. I said this morning it's an inquiry to impeach. Barbara said, Kent answering questions on Hunter's experience was hilarious. Elaine said, on a funnier note, my cat got too close to the fireplace and singed his tail. Not good. Not good. The Senate is where the trial will be held, Nomad said. Don't trust Lindsey. Well, Lindsey's kind of like Trey Gowdy. He's all talk, no do. And we need somebody who's going to talk and actually do. I like Jim Jordan. I want to see Jim Jordan, I don't even know if he has the power, really, to push people, get these investigations going. I also want to see the investigations by Barr and Durham. Get them out here and let's see what they are. No defense for Hunter Biden from Schiff star witnesses. It's like, I don't know anything about him. Democrats are just doing this to smear Trump. Yes, they are, Nomad. They want it on the record that they impeached the president. That's what they want. Will they call Schiff to the Senate for questions? They better, Harley Guy, if this gets to the Senate. We'll see. Schiff likes it when he's the recipient of his rules. Marie said, no trial, it will be dismissed. And that's what Lindsey Graham is saying. I haven't heard McConnell say that, Barbara. The last time McConnell said was we have to bring it up in the Senate. And how long we deal with it is one thing. So we'll see. Jim is a hero. Yeah, Jim's done a much better job than everybody else. I can tell you that. So anyway, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. And like I said, I'm going to get back to my reading. But if you will, please retweet this. Please go to my SusanKnowles.com. Look at today's article. Share that, please. Also, please look at the, you can go right there at SusanKnowles.com. Just scroll down and you can see the show from yesterday. It's right there. Just open up God's Views on Political News from yesterday. Open it up and you can see the whole show there. And you can hear what we talked about in regards to communism and progressivism. Thank you, everybody. Marie, you are welcome. McConnell can't be trusted, in my opinion. He can't, Hurley Guy. None of these people can be trusted. If you're putting your trust in the Senate and that's what you're banking on, I feel bad for you that you're doing that. Not saying they're not going to do the right thing, but I certainly wouldn't trust them as far as I can see them. I think they should be working on some way to dismiss this from the House. We should be working on trying to get to, if there's any consciousness left on these people in the Democrat Party, we should be trying to get to those people and ask them how this is defending the Constitution of the United States when they're not even following the Constitution in holding this impeachment inquiry. So anyway, all right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing, unless the rapture comes, and that would be great. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. God bless.